Did y'all have sex?
No.
Did you try to have sex?
No.
Stephen McDaniel was known as a quiet student, someone who rarely drew attention to himself. He studied law at Mercer University in Georgia and lived in an apartment complex near the campus. People who knew him described him as shy, reserved, and socially awkward.
Daniel, the day after Lauren Giddings was reported missing in June of 2011. Reporter Michelle Casada found him standing outside the apartment building where he and Giddings had lived.
He kept to himself most of the time, spending hours in his room. Stephen did not go out to parties or hang out with classmates very often. His neighbors saw him as polite but distant.
Lauren was my neighbor. We're just trying to find out where she is at this point. I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday. I mean, the last time anyone heard from her was an email that she sent out, and no one's heard from her since.
Almost invisible in daily life. Behind this calm image, Stephen carried an unusual personality. He collected survival gear, kept strange interests, and often gave off an unsettling vibe without saying much. While others were building friendships and planning their future careers, Stephen stayed in his own world. He had a serious face, spoke in a flat tone, and seemed almost detached from those around him. Many people thought he was just another quiet student who preferred books and privacy. But this quiet surface was hiding something darker. No one could have guessed that Stephen would soon be connected to one of the most disturbing cases the town had ever seen. The quiet student that everyone overlooked was about to become the center of a story filled with fear, shock, and tragedy. Strange behavior. As days passed, people began to notice the strange behavior of Stephen McDaniel. On the surface, he still looked like the same shy law student, but small details started to stand out. He had an unusual fascination with weapons and survival skills, keeping items like masks, gloves, and even lock-picking tools. His classmates sometimes remembered him saying odd things, often out of place in normal conversations. He seemed to enjoy making others uncomfortable without showing any real emotion. Neighbors recalled that Stephen often walked around late at night, quietly roaming the apartment complex. He rarely smiled, and when he did, it seemed forced. He would sometimes stare at people longer than normal, leaving them unsettled. Friends noticed that he lacked close bonds with anyone, and even when he was in a group, he appeared disconnected. His unusual mannerisms became more noticeable after one of his classmates, Lauren Giddings, suddenly went missing. Instead of showing concern like others, Stephen behaved oddly. He gave awkward comments, acted nervous, and shifted his story depending on who he was talking to. Some people thought it was just his strange personality, but others began to wonder if there was more to his behavior than simple social awkwardness. Slowly, the quiet image he once had started to break apart, and the unsettling side of his character was coming into the light. Missing classmate. The apartment complex where Stephen McDaniel lived grew tense when one of his classmates, 27-year-old Lauren Giddings, suddenly went missing. Lauren was not just any student. She was bright, ambitious, and well-liked by her peers at Mercer University's law school. She had just graduated and was preparing to take the bar exam. Her friends and family described her as warm, caring, and full of energy. When she stopped answering calls and emails, worry quickly spread. Lauren's car was still parked outside her apartment, and all her belongings were untouched. This was not like her at all. Neighbors began knocking on doors, asking if anyone had seen her. Police were called, and soon the area was buzzing with questions. Flyers were posted, and volunteers gathered to search the surroundings. For many, the mystery was deeply frightening, because Lauren had vanished without leaving a single clear clue. Stephen appeared among those who expressed concern, but even then, his words and actions felt strange. He seemed nervous, stiff, and almost rehearsed whenever he spoke about Lauren. While everyone else was desperate to find her safe, Stephen's behavior left people with an uneasy feeling. At that moment, nobody realized that the missing classmate case would soon turn into one of the most horrifying discoveries the town had ever faced. TV interview. As the search for Lauren Giddings grew more intense, local news stations arrived to cover the story. Reporters began speaking to neighbors, and Stephen McDaniel stepped forward to give an interview. What happened on camera would become one of the most unsettling moments of the entire case. Standing outside the apartment complex, Stephen spoke in a flat, almost emotionless tone. He described Lauren as a nice person, someone everyone liked, and said he hoped she was safe, but his words sounded rehearsed, as if he was reading from a script inside his mind. Then came the chilling moment. During the interview, a reporter revealed that police had discovered a body in the trash bins nearby. Stephen's face instantly changed. His expression froze, his voice cracked, and he struggled to keep speaking. His reaction was not the relief or sadness others showed, but a nervous shock that looked too real to ignore. The clip quickly spread across the community, leaving people disturbed by his odd response. What was supposed to be a simple interview turned into a piece of haunting evidence. Viewers could see something was off. Stephen was not reacting like a worried neighbor, but like someone hiding a terrible secret. The quiet student, already seen as strange, had now placed himself under the spotlight of suspicion. Police suspect. After Stephen McDaniel's unsettling TV interview, police began looking at him more closely. At first, he was just another neighbor who might have useful information, but his strange reaction raised serious doubts. Detectives searched the apartment complex and soon turned their attention to Stephen's own unit. What they found inside added to the suspicion. His room was filled with disturbing items: masks, gloves, a hacksaw, and even written notes that hinted at violent fantasies. These discoveries painted a troubling picture of someone who was far from the quiet, harmless student people thought he was. When questioned, Stephen's answers were inconsistent. He avoided eye contact, gave nervous responses, and sometimes stayed completely silent. Police noticed how his behavior shifted depending on the questions, as if he was struggling to keep a story straight. The more they investigated, the clearer it became that he was not just a shy student caught in a tragedy, he was hiding something much darker. Neighbors who once dismissed his odd personality began to remember little details: his late-night walks, his blank stares, and his unsettling presence. All of these memories now seemed like warning signs. Bit by bit, Stephen McDaniel was no longer seen as the quiet law student, but as the prime suspect in the horrifying disappearance of Lauren Giddings. Shocking. Find the case took a terrifying turn when police made a gruesome discovery. Inside the trash bins near the apartment complex, they found a human torso wrapped in plastic. The remains were later confirmed to be those of Lauren Giddings. The shocking find shattered any hope that she might still be alive. Detectives now knew they were dealing with a brutal crime, and the quiet neighborhood was gripped with fear and disbelief. As investigators dug deeper, the evidence began pointing directly to Stephen McDaniel. In his apartment, police uncovered more disturbing items: a hacksaw with Lauren's DNA, packaging materials, and even internet searches about how to hide a body. The puzzle pieces were falling into place, and they all led back to him. His nervous TV interview, his strange late-night behavior, and the survival tools in his room were no longer seen as odd quirks. They became signs of a calculated killer. For the community, the discovery was almost too shocking to process. Lauren had been a bright, promising young woman, full of dreams for her future, and now her life had ended in the most tragic way. The quiet student who lived just a few doors away was no longer just strange. He was exposed as the man behind the horrifying crime. Court trial. When the case went to court, the story of Stephen McDaniel turned even darker. Prosecutors presented the mountain of evidence collected against him: the hacksaw with Lauren's DNA, the disturbing writings found in his apartment, and the chilling internet searches all painted a picture of a calculated and cold crime. Investigators also revealed how Stephen had planned the murder in detail, waiting for the right time to strike. The quiet law student was no longer seen as awkward or shy. He was exposed as a manipulative killer. During the trial, Stephen tried to appear calm, but his expressionless face and lack of emotion unsettled everyone in the courtroom. The defense attempted to argue that he was mentally unstable, but the evidence was overwhelming. Witnesses, including neighbors and classmates, testified about his odd behavior before and after Lauren's disappearance. The jury listened closely as prosecutors explained how he broke into her apartment, attacked her, and tried to cover his crime by hiding her remains. What shocked people most was how close Stephen and Lauren lived, just doors apart, and yet he targeted her in such a horrific way. The courtroom felt the weight of her lost future, her family's grief, and the community's betrayal. Step by step, the trial revealed the true nature of the man who once blended in as a quiet student. Life sentence. The trial of Stephen McDaniel ended with a verdict that shocked no one but left the community deeply shaken. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Stephen eventually pled guilty to the murder of Lauren Giddings. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. For Lauren's family, it was a measure of justice, though it could never erase the pain of losing her. The bright young woman who had dreamed of becoming a lawyer was gone forever, her life cut short by someone she once considered a neighbor. Stephen's sentencing closed the legal chapter but left behind scars that would never truly heal. His story became a chilling reminder that evil can hide in plain sight. To the outside world, he was just a quiet, awkward student. Inside, he harbored violent thoughts that turned into brutal action. The same silence that once made him seem harmless had masked a dangerous obsession. In prison, Stephen faded from the headlines, but the memory of his crime stayed alive in the community. For many, the case was not just about a shocking murder. It was a warning about ignoring strange behavior, about trusting appearances too quickly, and about the thin line between ordinary life and hidden darkness. The quiet student was now a convicted killer, locked away forever.